are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
Hello and welcome to the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Ramon Rodriguez, filling in for Darren Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our community. First up, legal correspondent David Lesh continues his municipal liability series on the dangers of riding the city buses. And also, several of the nation's psychologists are coming together to host a mental health workshop for the Haitian community. Plus, they are transforming the South Bronx from a food desert into an oasis for fresh food. And the American Association of University Women wants young girls from New York City and Westchester to become women in math and science, and they're hosting the perfect event. And finally, if you've ever felt out of place in school and at home, then Michelle Carlo has written the perfect book for you. So stay tuned. All this and much more is headed your way because we are now officially open. Hello, Bronxites. I'm your host, Ramon Rodriguez, and today is Wednesday, March 16, 2011. Of course, you're watching Open, the only live and interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York straight to your TV set. Feel free to give us a call at 718-960-7241 or send an email and check us out on our Facebook. From there, you will be able to see past episodes of Open, comment, and also write on our discussion board your issues of concern to us. Our first guest this morning began his latest series of law advice on the subject of municipal liability. Well, now we're going to dig deeper on that topic and talk more specifically on the matter of the dangers of city buses and what to do if you ever find yourself in an accident, in an incident involving a bus. Here to discuss the legal side of that matter is David Lesh, our legal correspondent. And David, as always, thank you for being with us.
Good morning. Listen, Ramon, when I started this topic last week, we really began with the subway system. And I tried to express to the viewers that when we're discussing subway accidents, the actions you bring are not against the city of New York. The actions are against the Transit Authority, the New York City Transit Authority. So even though we're talking about municipal liability, we're really talking about a particular entity that we're bringing an action against, and that's the Transit Authority, not the city of New York. We're continuing that theme today because we're moving to buses, and once again, the culprit is going to be the Transit Authority. So just so it's important for everyone to know who's watching today that when we're talking about incidents on city buses, we're not talking about actions against the city. We're talking about actions against the Transit Authority.
So the importance of that, aside from it being...
Well, we have to file a notice of claim. When you file a notice of claim, which and it's within 90 days of the incident, it's not a notice of claim with the city of New York.
Okay.
It's a notice of claim with the Transit Authority. They're two different entities. City of New York, you file it down on in 100 Church Street or down in 1 Center Street, actually. When we're talking about the Transit Authority, you're filing it on Livingston Street. So it's two completely different defendants. So it's very important that people understand that.
And that distinction, of course, is most important if an individual is filing by him or herself, because certainly an attorney would know
That's
the difference.
correct, but a lot of people do file on their own.
Yeah.
Attorneys won't take a case, so they're going to file for themselves. It might be incidents where somebody isn't really injured. It might be a property damage case, and you say, well, you know what, I can do that on my own.
Right.
Well, if you bring an action against, whether it's the City of New York or the Transit Authority, it's going to be it's a 90-day notice of claim. So that's why I tell you, because I want to make sure you're filing in the right place.
Exactly.
Talking about bus accidents, you're talking about the Transit Authority. Now, what type of accidents are we talking about on city buses? Well, the most common accident that I usually see is the typical fall on a bus. which
Okay.
occurs because of a violent and sudden stop, right? That's what we're talking about here. There are other types of accidents, I'll get to those in a second, but the majority of the incidents on buses involve a sudden stop by the driver, and you are thrown either against the wall, on the ground, against another passenger, and you're injured. Usually when this happens, hopefully the bus driver will know that you're injured, will stop the bus, pull over to the side. They'll either come to you immediately, sometimes they'll call an ambulance, and you'll be taken off the bus.
Okay.
The first thing that usually happens is the bus driver will call a city dispatcher to come, or a transit authority dispatcher. Dispatcher come. Now the dispatcher does not is not necessarily your friend. The dispatcher worked for the transit authority.
They'll take a report.
That's right. And the first thing they're going to do is ask for a statement from you.
Okay.
So be very, very careful as to what you say happened or didn't happen, because that will be used against you eventually when you get into court.
Sure.
What the transit authority sometimes does is a little sneaky, and they don't necessarily call the police. So they'll have the transit authority there, dispatcher, and they'll have the ambulance there, but they won't call the police. You insist that the police get called. So this way the police hopefully are independent and will take a report from both sides, the driver
Okay.
and you. And any independent witnesses will be listed on the report. At this point, you'll be taken to the hospital. Hopefully, you'll give the statement to the hospital attendants, to the EMS, or to the hospital personnel exactly as to how you fell, because although all these things happen within the first half an hour to 2 hours after your accident, it sets up the stage for your action if you bring one, which could last 2 to 3 years. So it's very, very critical that you understand that those first 2 hours, you must make sure your statements are exactly accurate, because changing them later on are going to be very, very difficult.
Well, here's a question. So supposing that you suffer a fall and some kind maybe of a sprain or some kind of injury that doesn't really surface or manifests until after you've gotten off the bus or the subway, and you don't notify the driver.
Well, that
But you
happens
still-
all the time,
Yeah,
actually.
so
What
you
ends up happening is you end up not necessarily slipping or falling on the bus, but you get hurt as you're exiting the bus. You take a step or two off and the door is closed on you as you're leaving. The bus driver leaves you in a dangerous spot where there's snow and ice, or there's a cracks in the street, or something dangerous happens, and the bus driver doesn't even know.
Right, right.
And just drives away. Or sometimes the bus driver does know and says, you know what, they'll be okay, let me just keep going. That's what's called an unreported accident, and that's a problem for you if you're involved in that type of accident. So what you do is you call an ambulance, assuming you're hurt, right, at the scene, because we'll get to the part where you're not hurt immediately. You call an ambulance so you can at least show where it was and the time that you were injured.
Okay.
So when the ambulance comes, you can make sure that you put this is at this bus stop, at this area. They may even note the bus stop location, so it kind of helps you when you file your notice of claim and the transit authority says, hey, you didn't really get hurt on our bus. You say, yes, I did. Look, I called an ambulance. It's all here. Now,
Right.
what happens if you go home and you start feeling it the next day? I had that case, that specific case, I had to try that case down in New York County. I had an unreported accident, but I had a very sympathetic plaintiff who said that she went home and that evening she went to the hospital. It was in the hospital record saying that as she got off, she was injured because they let her down in an area that was dangerous. It was still a very difficult case, and it ended up being a hung jury of 2 days worth of deliberations. We went back to the judge after the hung jury. We did a week worth of testimony, and eventually the transit authority did put significant money on the case, and we did settle the case. But it was a very difficult case. So when you're in a situation, when you get off a bus and you think you're okay, and you wait a day or two to go to the hospital, it's going to be very difficult for an attorney to take your case, because how do you prove that you were on that particular bus? Yes, you have Metro Pass, and the Metro card will have a log as to where you were on at what particular time, but
Okay.
that doesn't necessarily mean you were injured on the bus. It just means you were on the bus. You could have gotten injured within the 24 or 48 hours doing something else.
Yeah.
So you got to really be smart. Now, a lot of people don't think this way. Most people don't. But the most important thing is if you're injured, you stay where you are and you get reports done. Now, defenses that the transit authority have if you're injured on a bus as a result of the sudden stop, which is the one we see all the time. They have two different defenses that I see all the time. Number one, first of all, you have to prove that it's a violent and sudden stop, not one of these slow, gradual, turn to the right, turn to the left. I'm talking a real sudden stop. You've been on a bus. I'm sure
Well,
you know. Most people
yeah.
take buses in the Bronx. A sudden stop is a sudden stop. That's when everyone gets thrown out of their seat.
But that proof is really going to be collaborated by witnesses.
That's correct. But let's say you show that. Well, the transit authority still has a defense. Two defenses. Number one, the emergency doctrine, that there was a car that cut off the bus, or that there was somebody who ran across the street, a pedestrian. Of course, they have to prove this. Many times the cars take off, and that's bad for you because if the car stays there and you bring an action against the car as well, the car will always say, "I didn't cut the bus off. I pulled off gradually."
Right.
But when it's the transit authority who says, "Well, it was a car who cut me off," and there's no corroborating witnesses as to car or no car, well, then they got a problem. So that's the first thing. The second thing is an interesting defense that's just been poking its head around the courthouse. It's called the interlocutory defense. The interlock is a mechanism in the back door when you exit the bus. It's when you press the button and you can leave through the back door.
Right, right.
Well, there's a mechanism. If you touch that button while the bus is moving, sometimes there'll be a sudden stop, as if somebody's trying to exit. And they use that as a defense. Well, the bus driver, the bus automatically stopped because somebody pushed this button. But that, you really have to look further into that defense because many times the bus driver can turn off the interlock or do other things. So it's not such a strong defense, but it is put forth. So with the emergency doctrine, you got to get past that, get past the interlock defense. If you're injured on that bus and you fall, you get yourself some witnesses. Make sure your statements that you give to the dispatcher is accurate. Make sure the statement you give to the EMS is accurate.
Okay.
And that's really it. So you got to really use your good common sense when you slip and fall in a bus because the transit authority is out for you. So don't think you just get into an accident on a bus and the transit authority is
And they're
going
gonna open their wallets,
It's not going to
right?
work that
No,
way.
it's not.
You got to
It's
make sure
not.
you use your good common sense.
And to remember, of course, the 90-day time.
90 days, the
frame
most
to,
important thing. And then, by the way, if I
file
can
the
finish, by the way,
notice. Sure.
it's 90 days and then it's a year and 90 days to start your lawsuit. 90 days for the notice of claim, year and 90 days to start your lawsuit.
Now, is there any extension if, I was going to say, from the discovery of the injury?
No.
It's just
None.
90 days.
No tolling of the statute of limitations. That's it.
All right. Well, as always, David, thank you so much. And, just for our viewers, just be careful when you're riding those buses. Hold on so that you don't fall if there is a sudden stop. And we'll tell you about an interactive workshop that is being geared towards the Haitian community dealing with the devastation that rocked their nation just a year ago. We'll be back right after this break.
There's a principle in economics called the multiplier theory, and it talks about how many of the dollars that are initially spent by BronxNet, that is how much of the budget of BronxNet, goes out into the community and gets respent and impacts the community as a whole. That number at BronxNet is about 3 times the budget of BronxNet. There's also a more important plus factor in terms of economic development. And many of the shows that exist in BronxNet about health, about culture, about jobs, discussions about new retail clusters, they cause residents of the Bronx to go to those organizations. They cause residents of the Bronx to spend money at those organizations. They cause people in the Bronx to be employed by those organizations. In addition to that, BronxNet trains a tremendous amount of people, 17,000 interns over the last 10 years or so, another 4,000 people in its training program over the last 6 years, and dozens of former BronxNet interns at ABC, CBS, NBC, and other organizations like that.
Voice your support to keep the channels open and strong. Online, visit bronxnet.org and click on Support Public Access Television and sign the letter to your local representatives.
This is so cool, Dad. Awesome. This is so cool, Dad.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of siblings in foster care who'll take you just as you are.
Hey, how's it going?
Sir, are you okay?
What? Oh, this? It's probably nothing. I'm sure it'll go away.
Go away? But, sir, that can't be good.
No, it's cool. Really.
Do you want a napkin or something?
Everything's fine. Thanks.
You wouldn't ignore this. So why ignore the signs of a stroke? At the first warning signs, call 911 immediately. Because time lost is brain lost.
Did you buy the flashlight and the batteries?
Yes.
Did you make sure we're not missing anything in the first aid kit?
Yep.
Did you go through the plan with the kids again?
Yes. The more you prepare today, the more you'll be able to reduce the devastating effects of a tornado, an earthquake, a power outage, or any other disaster.
Hello there and welcome back to Open. Dr. James S. Gordon, an international trauma expert, has recently announced that he and Dr. Deepak Chopra, a world-renowned specialist in the field of mind-body healing, as well as best-selling author, will host a workshop entitled Haiti, Sharing Stories, Healing Minds, a conversation with Dr. Deepak Chopra and Dr. James Gordon and the Haitian community on Thursday, March 17th. The goal of this workshop, which is free and open to the public, is to discuss the establishment of a healing community in Haiti. Several special guest speakers will also be on hand, including actor Jamie Hector, mental health advocate Terry M. Williams, and psychologist Glorious Dunkerley. Dr. Dunkerley is joining us this morning on the phone to tell us more about the event. Good morning, Dr. Dunkerley. How are you?
And Hi, Raymond. Thanks for having me and for giving me an opportunity to share some of the important work many of us are continuing to do with the Haitian and Caribbean community, both here and abroad.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure for you to be, for us to have you with us this morning, and thank you for taking time to do so. Let me ask you, Doctor. We know the tremendous devastation that occurred in Haiti a little over a year ago, and I wonder if you could just share with our audience some of your experiences as to how the population of Haiti is recovering from this devastation and how it has impacted them, obviously physically and as well as mentally.
Well, first of all, the earthquake in Japan serves to remind us all, particularly Haitians, how fragile life can be, and my heart and prayers go out to them. What we cannot do as the news cycle moves on is to forget about the Haitian people. And right here in New York is where the second largest population of Haitians live outside of Port-au-Prince. Has someone who has counseled members of the Caribbean community. There's a lot of fallout from the earthquake. People who have lost loved ones could not get home and more. So again, we want the community to come out tomorrow evening to talk about Haiti, sharing their stories, healing minds, and having a conversation with Deepak Chopra, Dr. James Gordon, and the Haitian community would help.
And the event, we'll repeat it again at the end of our interview, but the event is tomorrow evening, March 17th, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at 888 Broadway on the mezzanine level. Is that correct, Doctor?
Yes, that is correct.
Now, how long have you worked with Dr. Gordon of his international fame on this particular mind healing that is occurring for the Haitian community?
Well, in fact, this is something new for me, myself, but I know that Dr. Deepak Chopra, a renowned authority in the field of mind and body and healing, has come together with Dr. Gordon to see how we can heal the nation of Haiti and how they can recover from this devastation.
Has any of this work been ongoing in Haiti itself since the earthquake?
Yes, it has.
And are there any results that can be documented as a result of the efforts that have been put forth?
Well, we know that right now people are trying to recover. There's a lot of healing. People need to feel a little more empowered. And so we're trying to move in a direction that can heal, the community on a whole. So it's very much in its early stages, and we're hoping that we can reach a lot of people through this mind-body medicine healing.
Okay. And Doctor, tell us a little bit about your work here with the community and in general.
Yes, I have practiced for about 13 years. I've worked in a large Caribbean community in Brooklyn, New York, near Church Avenue, Flatbush Avenue, where, as you know, there is a large Haitian population, Caribbean population. I also provide services to children, adolescents, and adults. I have a private practice in Park Slope, Brooklyn, and I've provided a lot of direct counseling to the Haitian community on a whole, and also to the victims of the earthquake.
And for those family members and victims of the earthquake itself, what have you found to be the most challenging factors, really, that have overtaken them as a result of the earthquake?
Right now, the infrastructure of Haiti has not mended itself. There, of course, as we know, Haiti has struggled for many, many years as a country, and so with the earthquake, with the impact of the earthquake, it has made things very, very difficult. We struggle with medications, sanitary conditions. People are devastated. They're still living in tents. And so there is much work that needs to be done in the Caribbean community. As you know, mental health is considered a stigma for many Caribbeans on a whole, not just the Haitian community. And so many Haitians are not really open to the idea of mental health services. And so my job and some of the doctors here during this conference would be to how can we help the Haitian community and bring them in, because there are services out there that can help, in a psychological sense. There are services out there. So we're hoping that this workshop will be able to attract and allow Haitians to embrace the idea of mental health.
That is a very, very interesting comment that you make as it relates to the challenge that you face with trying to provide the services and the help that you do to these recipients, and that is the challenge of overcoming their reluctance to accepting mental health care, because I suspect that a lot of them feel there's nothing wrong with me mentally, I just need to recover physically and help fix my country in some way. But that they don't realize that there is a mental challenge that goes along with that.
Yes, the idea, remember, the Haitian people are very strong. They're very resilient. They're very patriotic. And, many Haitians have an idea that, you must get up and go. You must get up and continue to raise your children and continue to cook and clean and farm and do the things that we've always done for many, many years. So, to have this disaster, Haitians, and I have to really commend them, they're strong people and they're highly resilient. And, one of the things in the field of psychology is to move. When you're severely depressed and you feel very crippled and you feel stagnated, is to get up and move your body. And so they naturally have that. Haitians naturally can move themselves. And so, yes, the idea of mental health is not really in their forefront at this point. It's really about concrete services and building the infrastructure of Haiti.
And no doubt, and the work that you're doing and the work that and this workshop tomorrow that's going to be provided is certainly something that we hope will continue to assist you in your efforts, and in turn assist the Haitian community in rebuilding their minds, their bodies, and of course their country. And Doctor, we thank you for taking time again from your busy schedule to share your information with us this morning. We wish you a successful conference tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have you back on a future date to tell us more and comment a little bit further on what's happening now, of course, in Japan. So again, thank you, Dr. Dr. Glorious, and we'll be back to visit with you again.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet. And they're a local organization converting the South Bronx into a fresh food empire, and they're on our set next.
By the close of 2009, we will have trained over 200 students just this year alone. We are committed to not only providing these students with the technical training, we're also committed to providing them with access to professional people that will hopefully not only shape them professionally, but personally as well. About half of those students are high school students. They are the future. We want these kids to go to college. We want these kids to have professional careers. We want these kids to say, I grew up in the Bronx, I went to school in the Bronx, I got trained in the Bronx, and look at what I've accomplished. When they come to us, a whole new person is born. When I see these kids come in and they can't tell me what they're interested in, and 3 weeks later they're doing camera and floor managing and audio, when I see them tell me I'm going to college in the fall, that to me is a success. We are successful, we are committed, and we hope to remain so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Voice your support to keep the channels open and strong. Online, visit bronxnet.org and click on Support Public Access Television and sign the letter to your local representatives.
Our voices will be heard. Let's keep the channels open and stay Bronx strong.
Hey, how's it going?
Sir, are you okay?
What? Oh, this? It's probably nothing. I'm sure it'll go away.
Go away? But, sir, that can't be good.
No, it's cool. Really.
Do you want a napkin or something?
Everything's fine. Thanks.
You wouldn't ignore this, so why ignore the signs of a stroke? At the first warning signs, call 911 immediately, because time lost is brain lost.
Did you buy the flashlight and the batteries?
Yes.
Did you make sure we're not missing anything in the first aid kit?
Yup.
Did you go through the plan with the kids again?
Yes. The more you prepare today, the more you'll be able to reduce the devastating effects of a tornado, an earthquake, a power outage, or any other disaster.
Hello, viewers. I'm your host, Ramon Rodriguez. And remember, this is a live and interactive talk show. So join in on the conversation by calling 718-960-7241 or just send us an email to open@bronxnet.org. The South Bronx CSA is an initiative that brings the community together to build the resources to transform the South Bronx into an affordable food haven. They do this through agriculture education and training. Through these programs, they create access to healthy foods while allowing local farmers to thrive in a competitive environment. Here to tell us more is the coordinator of the South Bronx CSA, Stephen DeHeeger, and farmer Sergio Nolasco. Welcome to the show, gentlemen, and it's exciting to hear about this as to what's happening actually in the South Bronx, considering that it's not commonly known as a food haven paradise.
Exactly. Well, thanks for having us. So basically, like you said, we're the South Bronx CSA.
And CSA stands for?
CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture.
Community Supported Agriculture.
Right, and we're actually one of the many CSAs around New York City. And like you said, it's a way for local farmers to compete against agribusiness while, in our case, supporting people that could not otherwise get fresh food because they live in a food desert like the South Bronx.
And these local farmers come from where, Sergio?
I'm from New Jersey. I come from New Jersey, Sussex County.
Sussex County?
Yes.
That's not around the corner.
Very close.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So, and what do you farm?
We farm and
what kind of food do you
vegetables. We do different kind of vegetables, cantaloupes, watermelons.
Okay.
Yes.
And you bring them to the Bronx?
We bring to the Bronx every week. We just bring to delivery, and people eat fresh.
Yeah, and the products that Sergio farms, for example, they're sold to whom?
The way it works is basically instead of paying per item, like a farmer's market, what you do is you pay a certain amount of money before the season, before the farmer even plants anything, so that the farmer, instead of struggling to secure a customer base, can have money to work with.
And who is it that pays that? The actual consumer or the intermediary that's going to resell the product?
There's no intermediary. It's the consumer pays before the season, and the money goes straight to the farmers that different CSAs work with. Our CSA is different though, like we said, because it's in a food desert, it's in a low-income community, so we do accept food stamps. We are much more flexible than other CSAs with our payment plans. People can pay every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, if you look at the South Bronx, basically there's 12 supermarkets in the South Bronx for 88,000 people, compared to the Upper East Side that has about 35 for 60,000 people. So there's a huge gap in the availability of fresh food.
Okay.
And if you look at the impact, the South Bronx has 17% diabetes. It's 70% obese and overweight. It's the Head Start is 1 in 3 kids are obese. So the health impacts are just telling of the dire situation.
Now, it's for our viewers' education. Actually, the CSA is it a one location place, or does it have several distribution points? Where do the consumers go to get the food that they've prepaid for?
Right.
How does that work?
Well, we operate out of a community garden in Mott Haven called Brook Park.
Okay.
And we actually operate in collaboration with a non-for-profit called Friends of Brook Park, which is a great group that does agricultural education with kids, murals with schools in the neighborhood, things like that. So we have a website. I have it here.
Sure. Please tell me. The website is friendsofbrookpark.org.
That's right.
/South Bronx on X.
CSA.
South Bronx CSA. I don't know if we can get a close-up of that, but that's the website and the emblem, the logo, if you will. But now, do you have any connection to another project of a similar nature that goes on in the Bronx, and that's the green carts that they have that are actually lined up on 149th Street in the Mott Haven section there by Lincoln Hospital.
Right.
Does what Sergio farm gets sold to those green cart vendors and then sold, or how does that work? I mean, it's
No, I get some information about that, and but those green cards, they just, I think they go like a Hunts Point.
Oh, they go to the market
and then buy from local farmers. They come sell like wholesale.
Okay.
And they buy some products and they just go to the corner and sell the products.
But they don't grow it.
No, they don't grow it.
They
No.
they just sell it.
There's a middleman in that situation.
Now another question that occurs to me is, you say that that the consumer will pay in advance for what they anticipate consuming. Is that correct?
Right.
How do you measure that, and how do you charge them?
Well, we're sliding scale, so people that can afford to pay more subsidize people that can pay less. And basically what we tell people is you get 22 weeks of fresh vegetables every week that are picked the day before. It's enough to feed 3 to 4 people, and it's delicious.
And is Sergio your only provider? Or he's just one of them?
Right, he's our only provider, but different CSAs around New York City work with different farmers. So it's really a network of community-based groups that support regional agriculture.
Okay, and how did this all start?
Well,
we started 5 years ago with the South Bronx. We start with 40 members, and we keep trying, keep trying to do every year.
Okay.
And I mean, everything is well.
So how many members do you have now? Do you know?
Right now, I start with one CSA, South Bronx CSA, and right now we have altogether 4 CSAs around New York City.
Around New York City. So what you farm, you sell to those 4 CSAs.
Right. Yes.
It's a lot. That's a lot of farming. It's a great concept, actually, to be able to assist local farmers, obviously, to provide the fresh food for these consumers, so that they can eat more healthfully, and improve their own diets, and perhaps help reduce the obesity that does exist,
Right,
and
exactly.
in some way contribute perhaps to reducing the impact of asthma,
Right.
which we know is environmental, but nonetheless, maybe some of the food, fresh food that they can eat is a lot better
Exactly.
than some of the processed foods that are out there.
Right.
Well, gentlemen, it's a wonderful thing. We congratulate you really on your efforts and what you're doing, and certainly bringing this kind of food product to a community that needs it so much is certainly something that we applaud you for, and we wish you continued success. And thanks for being
Thank
with
you.
us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And please don't go anywhere, because we'll be back with more Open right after this.
Well, what they did, what Northwest Bronx Community Coalition was able to do for us was to change out, the whole scope of work was to change all the electrical fixtures throughout the entire complex. They changed all the windows throughout the entire complex. They were able to do water-saving items, new shower heads, new aerators on the faucets. I lose track of everything that they were able to do, but that was basically the scope of work, along with what the owner's contribution was, which was weatherizing, like the air conditioning sleeves and things of that nature, to really tighten up the envelope of the building and reinvest in Keith Plaza.
Here we were able to put $1.6 million into affordable housing to keep it that way. A lot of senior citizens in the building. We changed out their windows. We did energy efficient lighting, a lot of air sealing, and a lot of other cost-effective measures that's going to not just make the building look good, but make people a lot more comfortable while not having their rents raised.
For a long time, weatherization was so underfunded that we almost tried to keep it a secret. Our waiting list was 3 or 4 years old. But now with the stimulus money, we've been able to really expand our production. We've tripled it in the last 2 years, and we want people to know that this is a resource that's available to them in the community, and we want them to recognize the multiple values that happen as a result of these retrofits. It's not just windows that are easy to open.
Me personally, I was worrying about the situation of the residents, that they have a problem with the windows, with the lights. So for me, I was excited, with this project, to be the tenants happy with the windows. They will have no more complaints with the windows, with the foggy windows, with the lights, the heating problems, especially in the wintertime. This is with the more calls that we have it, but that was something hard for me to fix it, because the biggest problem was the windows.
The company that came in and did the fit for the windows, they were amazing. They worked with the people. They went from apartment to apartment. They were very efficient. The people love the windows. They look fantastic. They work well. The apartments are a lot warmer, and so it was a real godsend. And I mean that in the truest sense of the word. It was just a godsend, the way the teams were able to come together that worked with from Northwest Bronx Community Coalition, from ASK Windows, who actually did the installation, our staff, the resident manager, Pablo Benelagazar, who was absolutely amazing during the entire project, really just was able to keep everything together. And the residents truly, as you can see from today, just some of the feedback you got from some of the people that you spoke to, they're very, very happy with the windows, and obviously the benefit of not having to put in a rent increase to do that, to be able to have that financed through HCR was doubly, it was in both senses just a godsend.
Hello to you and welcome back. You are watching Open. You can call us at 718-960-7241, or feel free to check us out on the web. And during the break, you saw a press and community tour of the Weather Plaza, showing you all of the fine work that is being done through that particular project. The American Association of University Women is telling girls in the 7th grade to explore their opportunities in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics at the AAUW-EYU conference on Saturday, March 19th at the College of Mount St. Vincent from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. The conference is a hands-on exploration of careers for these young girls and a discovery on how fun science and math can be. Lauren Johnson, co-director of the conference, joins us now to provide more information on this educational experience. Lauren, thank you for being with us, and I'm looking forward to hearing some of the things that are going to be offered at this conference. Because of the tremendous need that we have as a country, let alone for young women, young girls, to get into the science and math and engineering areas that are available to pursue. So please, take it away.
Okay. The AAUW is a national organization that has about 100,000 members. We're spread across the country, and in New York there's about 40 branches. And 3 of our branches have gotten together to produce this program called Explore Your Opportunity, The Sky's the Limit.
Okay.
And the reason for our conference is to encourage 7th grade girls to begin to think about careers in science and technology, engineering, and math. We've done research that says that at the 7th grade level, that's when girls start to not be interested in these scientific studies.
Because they start to be interested in other things?
Because they're interested in other things, and because they don't get enough encouragement to go on into the sciences. So now, even though we've seen now that women are continuing on in high school, we're going to provide them with an opportunity at the College of Mount St. Vincent to see what women do in other fields. So this program, which is pre-registered, people have pre-registered for it. There are 252 girls already pre-registered for it. It will happen on this Saturday, March 19th. And each girl will have an opportunity to be in a classroom with 10, 11 other girls and do a hands-on project.
Now, you mentioned that they'll have an opportunity to see what other women have done in other careers, you said?
In careers only in the STEM field.
Only
so
in the STEM field,
fields.
okay, which would be science, technology, engineering, and math.
Right, and we have workshops that are unusual that will make them think that it's not just boring sitting in a laboratory in any of those fields. So we have people who are from Estee Lauder, and the women from Estee Lauder are chemists, and they are going to show them how to make cold cream. Here's a field, like when you say you don't want to be in chemistry, here's something practical that we do with chemistry. We have people from the botanical gardens coming. We have scientists and engineers. And one of the other parts of the program that's going on is that there are 15 other women who are going to be there who are going to be mystery women. And it's the girls have to walk up to these women and find out who they are. They have a little biography. And one of the women that's coming is an engineer. And she's an engineer who's working on the proposed new Tappan Zee Bridge. So she's going to be able to talk to them about how a woman engineer will fit into the group who's designing this new bridge, if it exists. And we've had other engineers come. One woman taught them how to make a suspension bridge with macaroni. So all of the workshops are very creative. There are 17 different workshops, and they're all creative. Part of AAUW is always to partner with a college. So we've been doing this for 8 years, and we're partnered with the College of Mount St. Vincent, who's provided us with space, who's provided us with their support, and we look forward to it. Also, this is a conference for 7th grade girls. So their parents come along, some of them do, and we want this conference to be for them. So the parents are also going to be in a separate workshop. They're going to learn origami and understand geometric figures.
And then tell our viewers what origami is.
Origami is the folding of paper.
The art of folding paper into, creations of any kind, right?
Right. So that's what the parents are going to do, and so they'll know what a tetrahedron is, or a triangle, or isosceles triangle. So the parents are learning, and the purpose of that is so that they can help their daughters along.
And encourage them.
And encourage them to go on into science.
Maybe even act as some sort of a role model. Hey, if I can fold this paper into a creative piece of art, you can certainly create a bridge, right?
Right.
Now, is Mount St. Vincent the only partner that you've had in this venture over the last 7 years?
No, Mount St. Vincent has been our partner for the last 2 years, and prior to that it was Barnard College at Columbia University.
Okay.
That was our partner. And they've been very helpful to us in providing us with information and space, and their faculty have been very supportive to us. So it's going to be a wonderful day for us. We have over 150 volunteers that are going to participate in this. And the college, of course, will give a tour this can be an event for them also.
And the question that I'm sure our viewers must be asking themselves, and we want to tell them, is what cost, if any, is associated with this?
It only costs $12.
$12
for this.
To register.
To register, you get breakfast, you get the workshops, you get a keynote speaker. We're going to have a keynote speaker from Microsoft who's called an academic evangelist. And this is a new term, and she is going to evangelize about science and technology and engineering and math.
Outstanding. Well, it sounds like a really, really exciting day, and one that our viewers should certainly take advantage of. But you can call for further information. You can call Ms. Johnson at 718-655-5204. That's 718-655-5204 for additional information for the event that will take place this coming Saturday, March 19th, at Mount St. Vincent College in Riverdale, between 8:30 a.m. and 2 p.m. and get your 7th grade girls to participate in this very informative event, and one that perhaps can lay the groundwork for a future career for your 7th grade daughters. Ms. Johnson, we wish you nothing but success for this conference, and hopefully we'll find the new engineer or scientist or mathematician that can discover some other new theory that we can now, put our arms around as we move forward in this ever-advancing technological world that we live in, right?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being with us. And up next, she's taken all of the events, both embarrassing and humorous, and put them down in a book about her life. We'll meet her right after this break.
I just want us to take 5 seconds to look at those individuals to my left and to my right. You're looking at the future. These are students of Jonathan Levin High School in the Bronx. They are products of the Bronx, and they receive the media, the communication, the resources, the equipment, the tools, the knowledge, all that has been given from BronxNet last year. We had an opportunity in which some of our students were able to become interns at BronxNet. It was an invaluable opportunity. Some of those students today are in Syracuse University, Newhouse School of Communications, which is one of the best communication schools in the United States. They gained that internship, which is priceless, through BronxNet. Sometimes it's not always about the present or yesterday, but it is about the future, and we represent the future, and we need the services, the internship, the process, the resources, the equipment, and the love that BronxNet offers to our students.
Voice your support to keep the channels open and strong. Online, visit bronxnet.org and click on Support Public Access Television and sign a letter to your local representatives.
Our voices will be heard. Let's keep the channels open and stay Bronx strong.
Mom, I'm not gonna go to college.
What are you saying? You've got to go to college.
Well, they offered me a job and...
Son, college is much more important.
No.
Yes.
No, Mom.
Yes.
Anyways, it's my decision.
Okay, well then decide what degree you're going to get, because you will go to college.
Their tomorrow depends on your words today. The Hispanic Scholarship Fund has the information you need to help your kids go to college.
G-Morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me. Are your parents home later? We can hang. LUV, love you. JK. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did? Are you on your way to the mall? I'm lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
Take my hand and start a brand new day. And together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are,
underneath everything we do. We are all people, connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
So here are the keys. Congratulations, it's officially yours. I'm sure you'll have many happy years here. Except for you, because you'll be gone 3 years from now, struck down by the same disease that got your father. So you won't be around for them. And sadly, it could have been detected early with a simple test, but you didn't have it. Okay, who wants to check out the backyard?
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.gov.
When it's time for lunch, a sandwich is a quick and easy choice. And with the right ingredients, it can be good and good for you. So I'm here today to see who can build the ultimate sandwich. All right, when the time is up, our judges will give you their scores. Ready, set, go! Okay, Jason starts out with a multi-grain roll. Ooh, Allison's stuffing her pita with, yes, spinach, a great source of iron. Jason isn't skipping on the protein, adding plenty of smoked turkey, just like Allison's putting the finishing touches with crispy red bell peppers for a dose of vitamin A. Time! It looks like we have a tie. We'll need to call in our special guest referee.
Now these are what I call quick, delicious lunches. Whole grain breads, a whole variety of ingredients. There are so many different ways to build delicious, healthy sandwiches. These two get high marks in every category. I'd say you're both winners. America.
Let's get healthy together.
Hello and welcome back to Open. In the book Fish Out of Agua, My Life on Neither Side of the Subway Tracks, author Michelle Carlo tells the story of a red-headed Puerto Rican girl raised in an Italian-Irish section of the Bronx who was an enigma to her classmates and too white for her Spanish-speaking relatives. You'll read funny, heartbreaking, and unforgettable stories of this young girl growing up in the 60s and 70s. And here to talk about some of those stories is the author herself, Michelle Carlo. Michelle, thanks for being with us.
Ramon, thank you so much for having me.
No,
it's so
absolutely.
exciting.
I mean, the title of your book is funny in and of itself. I can't even imagine what the contents of the book must be like. So tell us, what prompted you to write this book?
Well, Fish Out of Agua, you could say it went from the stage to the page.
Okay.
I've been a performer for a number of years. I've been, an actress. I've been a performance artist. I've been a comedian. I've been a burlesque MC. I've been a sketch comedy. I've done improv. I've done almost every type of performance you can think of.
Wow.
And in, I guess, the early mid-2000s, I started doing storytelling.
Okay.
There's an organization in New York City, in Manhattan, called The Moth. themoth.org, and they run story slams. Now they're like national. Back then, they used to do them at the New Eurekan Poets Cafe once a month, and you'd go there, East 3rd Street between B and C, and you'd put your name in a hat, and if they picked your name, you would go up and tell your story, and it was called a story slam because, like a poetry slam, they were judged. So you would get up, and they would hold up like little moths with like numbers on them, and it would be like 7.6, 8.3, 9.4. And it would be a theme, like it would be revenge, it would be water, it would be stranded. And I was in a writing group then because I was working on doing a solo performance. And my then writing teacher bet me that I did not have the nerve to go to one of these things. And that was, of course, she knew me very well because she said, the best way to get me to do something is to tell me I can't do it.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Okay. I know that feeling.
I went. And she said, well, you should just like go and like watch a few times first. And in my mind, I was like, later for that. I went, I put my name in the hat, I got called up last, I told a story, and I won. And I ended up going to the Grand Slam, which is like where all the Story Slam winners come together.
Okay.
And then I appeared on the Moth main stage, and that just started me segueing into, instead of like, trying to interpret other people's words as an actor, I was writing for myself. And after several years, people kept asking me, when are you going to write a book? And I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But around 2007, I realized if I wanted my life to change, I had to change my life. So I started putting the stories together, and it became Fish Out of Agua.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And actually, the Moth presentations are aired on TV, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
I've seen them.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, I've
yes,
seen
yes.
that.
Oh, they're a podcast. They're big. They're like NPR. Better watch out because the Moth is like right behind it.
Yeah, yeah.
But so the book is a memoir. and it's stories about, it's like a red onion. It's got a lot of different layers to it. There are parts that are really hysterically funny, and there are parts that are heartbreaking. There's parts that are serious as a heart attack, and there are 3 heart attacks in Fish Out of Agua. None of which are mine.
And all of which are survivable.
No, actually, everyone that had a heart attack in Fish Out of Agua is no longer on the planet, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
But it's about growing up in the 60s and 70s. It's about Latin families. It's about how I became an artist. And there's also a thread that concerns my mother and me, and a secret that was in our family that lasted over 40 years and basically caused like a rift between us. So there's some serious stuff in there, and there's also some stuff that's really funny. It's complicated.
Yeah, what?
It's like
That's
life,
a great
Ramon.
title for a movie.
What, it's complicated? I think isn't that already a movie?
No, it is. That's why I say
So, and I'm going to be telling one of the stories from Fish Out of Agua at the Bronx Museum of the Arts this coming Friday as part of Bronx Stories.
that. Oh, outstanding.
Here, I have a flyer for you.
Let's share a little bit of that. On Friday, March 18th, from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at the Bronx Museum for the Arts, which is, of course, on 165th Street and the Grand Concourse. And is this
It's a free event.
Free event.
It's a free event, and it starts at 6 p.m. And it's, I'd like to thank Bridget Bartolini and Hani Chia. Thank you so much. They're the conduits at the Bronx Museum that are helping to perform this, helping to put this together. And Will Lee and Mr. Rick Patrick put the event together, and there's going to be 4 or 5 of us storytellers. We all went into the museum and we picked the artwork from an exhibit from. There's different exhibits there that kind of like spoke to us, and one of the guides is going to talk a little bit about the artwork, and then we're going to tell our story in front of it. So it's going to be like a total melding of like art and truth and stories, and it's going to be awesome.
That's beautiful.
No, it's beautiful.
And it will it be only you, or there'll be several?
No, there'll be several other people. There will be me, Tom Lee, Mr. Rick Patrick, Mr. William Lee, and Miriam Tab. And also the public will be able to tell their stories. There's going to be a magic hat where if the public wants to share their own 3-minute story about the Bronx, they can do that as well. So it's participatory.
So the members of the audience will have an opportunity maybe to have their own Grand Slam moment?
Correct. Hey, you never know. It could jumpstart their own memoir. I figure if I could do it, why not?
Absolutely. I'd like to just share with our viewers an excerpt from the book that I hope will entice them to go out and buy it. And it says that a voice blared from the loudspeaker at the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and it said, "Will the family who brought the little redhead white girl please come to the bandstand to pick her up?" I looked around, she says. Wait a minute. I am at the bandstand. I am that lost girl. And here she was referring to herself, of course, that little redhead girl, as we said in the intro, in an Italian-Irish neighborhood, and raised in the Bronx in the 60s and 70s. It certainly sounds like it's a lot of fun with its drawbacks, with some of its tragic moments.
Well, it's complicated, so it's like
but
life.
As you say, it's complicated, and hopefully the book, given what it has to offer.
Can we show it?
Yeah, we certainly can.
It is.
And this is the cover of the book, Fish Out of Agua, of course, written by Michelle Carlo, and this is her with her back to you, with her long
No,
red
actually,
hair.
it's a model.
Oh, you
It's
didn't
a
have to say
model.
that.
Well,
But
I have to
anyway,
tell the truth.
that's the cover.
Anyone that knows me is going to know that's not me.
And we certainly encourage all of our viewers to go out
Yes, it's a good book.
and buy
Go
it.
to my website, www.michellecarlo.com, and get one.
There you go.
You'll love it.
And you can see her in person on Friday, March 18th at the Bronx Museum of the Arts
Yes.
on 165th and the Concourse for free. So please take advantage of that. Michelle, thank you so much for being with us. Continued success, and
Thank
maybe
you.
we'll see it into a movie or a play.
Oh, please, but from your mouth to El Senor's ears.
There you go.
I'm waiting.
You never know. And it's been a pleasure coming into your homes this morning, and we'd like to thank our guests for joining us, and especially you, our viewers, for tuning in. You can tune in tonight for the recablecast of Open at 10 p.m. on Channel 67. And of course, you can catch a new episode on Friday at 10 a.m. with Rina Valentin and Bobby C. Thank you so much for being with us. Have a great week. And remember to keep your hearts and minds open.